Remember the velvet sound of 1977? You turn the dial, and suddenly, the world feels a little warmer. But behind those gentle guitars hid some truly bizarre secrets. In this countdown, you will discover a television cop singing in a black ski mask. You will meet an artist trapped by a wild fan in a bowling alley, and uncover a bitter family secret disguised inside a happy melody. These are quiet confessions time left behind. Today we are counting down 10 forgotten 1977 soft rock hits that will bring you back in time. Number 10. Don't Give Up on Us by David Soul.
Don't make the wrong seem right.
Picture this. It is 1977. A man walks onto national television, his face completely hidden by a black ski mask. He did this 25 times on the Merv Griffin show. Why, you might ask? Because he wanted you to actually listen to his voice, not just stare at his famous face. You knew him as Hutch, the tough detective chasing criminals on prime time. But before the badge, Soul was just a struggling folk singer. British songwriter Tony Macaulay wrote this tender track, completely unaware a Hollywood action star would end up singing it.
I know we put a last one by.
The funny thing is, Soul actually hated his own vocal performance here. He thought it sounded far too soft, but the public strongly disagreed. By April 1977, this gentle ballad shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying for 19 weeks.
We can still come through.
Back then, America had only 3 major television networks. When Soul sang, the whole country watched. He gave tough men permission to show their soft side, proving strength sometimes lies in a whisper. Today, this is the definition of a forgotten hit, but it perfectly captures that velvet-wrapped era, proving a television cop could put down his weapon and gently melt millions of hearts.
Lovely, even so.
If these songs have put a smile on your face today, give this video a like. It's a simple way to let me know the music of 1977 can still brighten someone's day. Number 9. When I Need You by Leo Sayer.
When I need love.
Leo Sayer was mostly known for his bouncy, curly-haired, highly energetic persona. But behind that fun smile, he was an artist desperate for a true commercial breakthrough in America. He usually wrote his own material. However, he swallowed his pride and agreed to sing a track written by Albert Hammond and Carol Bayer Sager. It perfectly captured the agonizing loneliness of being miles away from the person you love.
Never knew there was so much.
In the studio, producer Richard Perry stripped away all those upbeat pop elements. He built a lush, comforting soundscape that wrapped safely around Sayer's delicate high notes. Interestingly, the melody felt so deeply familiar that legendary poet Leonard Cohen actually filed a lawsuit, claiming it borrowed a bit too heavily from his track Famous Blue Raincoat.
No, I won't be traveling forever.
Legal troubles aside, the raw emotion was undeniable. In May 1977, this heartbreaking track climbed all the way to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Decades later, we might not hear Sayer's name on the daily radio anymore. Yet, for anyone who has ever spent a lonely night wishing their partner was right there beside them, this forgotten soft rock gem remains a pure, comforting hug. It reminds us of a simpler time when all it took to bridge the distance was a heartfelt dedication on your local station.
Hold out and do like I do.
Number 8. Sometimes When We Touch by Dan Hill.
I wanna hold you till I die.
Back in 1973, a 20-year-old Hill fell hard for an older neighbor named Moira. She eventually left him for a football player. Broken-hearted, he poured his feelings into a deeply personal poem, hoping to win her back. That simple poem became the lyrics to this track.
Till we both break down and cry.
In the studio, the producers wrapped his fragile, cracking vocals in thick, sweeping strings, But when it hit the radio in late 1977, the reaction was brutally divided. Women connected deeply with his raw honesty, but critics and many male listeners, they mocked him endlessly. It was labeled too sappy, too weak. You have to remember, in 1977, a man openly weeping on the radio was considered a joke. Today we call that emotional bravery. Despite the critics laughing, the public was buying. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying for 22 weeks.
And I choke on my reply.
Dan Hill once said he never regretted showing his wounds to the world. And why should he? He gave us a beautiful, imperfect confession that survived decades of ridicule. It remains a classic forgotten hit, proving that sometimes the most mocked songs are actually the ones that touch our hearts the deepest. But while Dan Hill wore his heart on his sleeve, our next artist stumbled into a cinematic masterpiece completely by accident.
Till we both break down and cry.
Number 7. Year of the Cat by Al Stewart.
In the year of the cat.
Picture driving down a dark highway late at night. The dashboard glows softly. Through the crackling radio speaker, a long, haunting saxophone solo begins to play, melting away the miles. The strange thing is, this cinematic track has absolutely nothing to do with felines. Stewart actually wrote 3 different sets of lyrics for this melody. First, it was about a British comedian, then a royal princess. Finally, frustrated, he noticed a book on Vietnamese astrology belonging to his girlfriend. The phrase Year of the Cat just sounded incredibly cool. He built a mysterious love story around a title he practically found by accident.
As she locks up your arm and hers.
In Studio 2 at Abbey Road, producer Alan Parsons crafted a lush, layered soundscape. Co-writer Peter Wood played a piano riff he actually begged Stewart not to use. Stewart used it anyway. That stubborn choice helped push the track to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1977. It stayed on the charts for 17 weeks.
These days, she says, I feel my life.
Today, the lyrics might still feel like a puzzle, but that is the magic of it. Stewart gave us a mood, a feeling. For those of us who remember 1977, that saxophone solo is permanently tied to the memory of rolling down the windows and driving into the unknown. It is a brilliant reminder of how a random book on a coffee table can birth a soft rock legend. Number 6, It's Sad to Belong by England Dan and John Ford Coley.
We could get together for a while.
In 1977, families across America would have this playing quietly in the background during dinner. It dominated the radio dials. But if you actually stop and listen to the words written by Randy Goodrum, it is devastating. It is the story of a man who finally meets his soulmate, but he is already married to someone else.
I'm not talking about millennium.
He is trapped between doing the honorable thing and living with a quiet, suffocating regret. Down in a Tennessee studio, producer Kyle Lenning wrapped this dark confession in the warmest, softest acoustic guitars imaginable. It was a brilliant disguise. They were fiercely protective of this mood, too. When the duo performed this on The Tonight Show, the house band played it so painfully slow that John actually stopped the performance right in the middle, completely infuriating the television crew.
And I don't want to change your life.
The disguise worked flawlessly. It spent 5 long weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Easy Listening chart. Today, that culture of gathering around the radio for quiet evening music is mostly gone. But the pain in this song remains entirely real. For anyone out there who has ever met the right person at the wrong time, this track is a bittersweet companion. It forces you to smile through the tears, reminding us that sometimes keeping your vows means carrying a heavy heart for the rest of your life.
I'm not sure why I called. I guess I really just...
We've reached the halfway point. If you're still here, comment 6, so I know you're taking this musical journey with me. Number 5, I Go Crazy by Paul Davis.
Inside, oh baby.
Have you ever bumped into an old flame at the grocery store and suddenly, years of moving on just vanish in a single heartbeat? That is exactly what Paul Davis captured here. He actually wrote this track, thinking of soul singer Lou Rawls. But the head of his record label heard the demo and basically told Davis he had to keep it for himself.
That I've learned how to laugh and smile.
In the studio, they kept the production incredibly warm and intimate. In fact, there was supposed to be a whole extra chorus in the song, but the producers worried it might drag on a bit too long. So they took a razor blade, physically sliced the recording tape, and taped it back together.
That old feeling inside.
When it hit the airwaves in mid-1977, it did not explode overnight. Instead, it was a slow, quiet burn. Listeners just kept calling their local stations to request it. It ended up staying on the Billboard Hot 100 for 40 consecutive weeks. That was a Guinness World Record back then, all without ever actually hitting number one. Today, an artist drops a track, and if it does not go viral in 3 days, it is buried by the algorithm. But this song reminds us of a different era, a time when a beautiful piece of music could slowly earn its place in our hearts, week by week. It is a comforting reminder that the best things in life do not always have to be rushed.
I'd really see you again.
Number 4, So Into You by Atlanta Rhythm Section.
I am so into you.
Imagine driving a convertible under the blazing Georgia sun in early 1977. You turn on the radio, expecting the usual gritty, loud Southern rock. But instead, this incredibly smooth, laid-back guitar riff flows right out of the speakers. You see, Atlanta Rhythm Section was a group of hardened, working-class studio musicians from Doraville. They were supposed to sound rough, playing in the same lane as Leonard Skynyrd. But down in Studio One, alongside producer Buddy Bye, they crafted something completely unexpected. They wrote a song about locking eyes with a stranger from across a crowded room and feeling that instant, undeniable pull.
I was captured by your style.
The production was flawlessly soft, yet it still kept just a tiny bit of that southern dirt in the guitar licks. The public was absolutely hooked. This gentle track climbed all the way to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, pushing their album straight to gold status.
I can't think of nothing else.
Even former President Jimmy Carter, the so-called rock and roll president, was a massive fan of these guys. Today, this track is a fading memory on most radio stations. But for anyone who remembers the magic of 1977, it proves that even the toughest rock musicians have a tender side. They gave us a perfect, breezy groove, reminding us of a time when falling in love felt as easy as listening to a great guitar solo. But while these southern rockers found massive success in a sweet love story, our next artist hit a tale of quiet suffering behind the happiest melody you will ever hear.
Don't you know?
Number 3, On and On by Stephen Bishop.
Steal your money, then they break your heart.
Remember sitting by the radio on a Sunday morning, pencil in hand, writing down the top 40 countdown from Casey Kasem? When this song played, everybody smiled. It sounded like a sunny beach vacation. But here is the greatest trick pop culture ever played on us. We were all humming along to a completely broken heart. Bishop wrote these lyrics about different people dealing with painful, agonizing breakups. One guy even steals the stars from the sky, puts on a Sinatra record, and cries himself to sleep. Yet in the studio, producers Henry Louis and Bishop deliberately masked that pain. They added a breezy acoustic guitar and a cheerful marimba. Interestingly, Andrew Gold, who we will talk about very soon, actually played electric guitar on this track.
And on, she just keeps on.
The disguise worked perfectly. Listeners bought the happy vibe without a second thought. It spent 28 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1977, peaking at number 11.
Hey, takes a ladder, steals the stars from the sky.
Millions of people still think this is just a happy tune. But for those of us who have lived long enough to truly listen to the words, it is a quiet piece of musical therapy. Bishop taught us that sometimes the only way to survive a devastating loss is to put on a brave face, hum a cheerful melody, and just keep moving on.
On and on, on and on.
Number 2, We Just Disagree by Dave Mason.
You and me, and we just disagree.
On December 30th, 1977, millions of families tuned their televisions to the midnight special. They were fully expecting loud, rebellious rock from a founding member of the band Traffic. Instead, Mason gave them a quiet, acoustic lesson in letting go. The honest truth is, Mason did not even write the biggest hit of his solo career. His backup guitarist, Jim Kruger, casually handed him the demo one day. It was a remarkably mature story about two people walking away from a broken relationship without any screaming, anger, or blame.
To a place that's far away.
In the studio, producer Ron Nevison made a brilliant choice. He put Kruger and his gorgeous 12-string guitar right up front, letting his harmony vocals weave perfectly with the lead. It was a stark contrast to the heavy disco beats dominating the era, yet that peaceful maturity pushed the track to number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100.
You got a place to stay, why should I care?
For decades, this song was their signature acoustic duet. After Kruger passed away in 1993, Mason continued to play it every single night on stage as a tribute to his lost friend. And with Mason himself leaving us just this past April, listening to this track today feels completely different. It is no longer just a breakup song. It is a heartbreakingly beautiful goodbye between two brothers in music, reminding us that true peace only comes when we finally lay our weapons down.
There ain't no good guy, there ain't no bad guy.
Number 1, Lonely Boy by Andrew Gold. Here's a secret that was hidden in plain sight for decades. A boy is born in the summer of 1951. 2 years later, a little sister arrives, and suddenly he feels completely abandoned. He packs his bags and leaves home. Now, every single detail in these lyrics perfectly matches the real-life timeline of Andrew Gold. Yet for his entire life, Gold stubbornly denied it. He swore his childhood was perfectly happy, and he just used those dates because they were convenient to rhyme. It is a fascinating denial. Down in the studio, producer Peter Asher built the whole track around a driving, nostalgic piano. Gold even brought in Linda Ronstadt to sing backup vocals. It was a beautiful role reversal since he spent years playing backup for her. When it hit the radio, the public was captivated. It stayed on the charts for 5 long months in 1977, peaking at number 7. You have to understand, back then the dark, bitter feeling of resenting a newborn sibling was something you just did not talk about out loud. Today, therapists openly call it sibling rivalry. But Gold took that ugly, unspeakable emotion and turned it into a masterpiece. He gave anyone who ever felt left behind as a child a voice. It is a beautiful, heartbreaking confession, even if he never quite had the courage to admit it was his own. And there you have it, 10 quiet confessions from 1977. A television cop hiding behind a ski mask. A poem written for a girl who walked away. A cheerful melody built entirely on heartbreak. These songs never asked to be loud. They simply waited by the radio, in living rooms and station wagons, for someone who needed them. And maybe tonight they found you again. So tell me down in the comments, which one of these 10 brought a memory rushing back? I read every single one. If this journey was worth your time, hit that like button and subscribe, because there is always another forgotten song waiting to be remembered. Until next time. Keep the dial turned up.
And I don't